Welcome to the very first episode of Spellbook Club. I am Hayden Mansfield, I will be your GM for this volume, and we have got something exciting brewing for you today. This is Volume 1, Echoes of Agmovia, The Last Expedition. Today we join a fresh group of adventurers as they take to the seas in pursuit of a land remembered as a hub of progress and rich culture, now relegated to historical ledgers and fables.
Are we all met for the very first meeting of Spellbook Club?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. We have here with us today, will everybody please share their name and a fun fact about themselves?
Hello, my name is Joseph Peachy, and a fun fact about me is 50% of my diet is pasta and cheese.
Hello, my name is Sean McHugh. Fun fact about me is I love to make armor. Chainmail, bunch of different things.
My name is Katya Saturday, and fun fact, I have a sailing license and I got it before my driver's license.
Hey, my name's Nora. Fun fact about me is that at any given moment, there's a pretty good chance I'm craving a cheeseburger.
And I'm Hayden Mansfield, and I'll be your GM for this volume.
Now then, another story before we all turn in. A story that may be familiar to some of you, and it's about time that you heard. In an age before the oldest person you know was born, in a land across mountain and sea lay the kingdom of Agmovia. And in that land lived a princess by the name of Violetta. Her father, the good King Vosinol, cherished his beloved daughter and only heir greatly, cultivating her love of the arts and sciences. When it came time for the princess to wed, she fell in love deeply with a botanist, and together they made countless medicines and cures for the nation's ails. Together they discovered something astonishing, a fruit said to communicate with the great beyond and grant one's any wish. But the good king fell ill, and on the day before Violetta was set to be wed, the king's noblest advisor, Brahmin, discovered a horrific truth. The botanist had been poisoning the king in an attempt to steal the crown. Brahmin had the botanist set to be executed the very next day. The botanist was killed, and when the fruit finally became ripe, Violetta used it to save her goodly father, but never forgot her love. Now, Agmovia is a land of countless fairy tales, and most are not nearly as dire as the one that I've just shared. In fact, Agmovia is about to be rediscovered. Once upon another time, this time, there is a boat in the harbor of Ratnelnimosmar, the first of its kind, and it is set to take a crew to the continent of Agmovia. Some 300 years lost. Now, rain beats down harshly on the slate roof of the community hall in Ratnell as wax tubes spin the most cutting-edge tunes of the day. In full regalia stands the crew of the galleon, mingling in a swinging party to send them off. The officers stand rather relaxedly in a clump toward the front of the room, visited incessantly by well-wishers. Toward the outside of this clump stands the fourth mate. The uniforms are identical, but the man is made of something else. Joseph, would you introduce your character?
Absolutely. You see a tall man, about 6'3", sun-tanned skin, long black hair that kind of goes along past the shoulders, that's pulled back into a braid, and a scraggly, unkempt beard that shows he has the charisma of AIDS. He's wearing kind of rough split mail armor, yellow topaz-colored sash over his armor. He has a heavy black chain in a loop around his belt. He has a scar across his cheek, and he is currently kind of lounged against a wall, not enjoying the party as much as everyone else, and he's kind of sipping a cup of wine. He sips it, looks down, and it kind of grimaces and watches the party. And this is D'Artano Levasseur.
occasionally the first and second mate make eye contact with you. You haven't to this point bothered to learn their names. You don't picture spending a lot of time with them. But as soon as one of them catches your eye, they kind of look away. And it is about at this time that you are approached by a young halfling man who has a very relaxed stance, but a furrowed brow and intense eyes. And a man who you recognize as Quincy shows up and says, D'Artano, why don't you mingle with the others?
This is not part of the job. Therefore, I'm going to enjoy the time on my own that I have.
Yes, but the papers would really enjoy a picture of you for... Well, I mean, look at this vista. We got some freshly imported Agmovian goods. Don't tell anyone they're not imported. They're mostly from the stores that we had, but cardboard does fine.
Have I noticed that they have a bunch of stuff that's not quite from Agmovia, but they're claiming it is?
You wouldn't know exactly about Agmovia and the kind of like decorations or actual artifacts that there are to be found.
Right.
But it seems almost certain that this is not exactly accurate to the way that it should be.
I glance over at a cardboard cutout of a palm tree and I'm like, I think I am all right. I will take care of myself. But do you have any Gondarit's whiskey? I am missing home at this moment.
Well, we did actually import some Gondarit whiskey, but looks like it's going fast. Quincy tilts his head over toward the bar area where a man that you recognize much more than Quincy, that you actually brought here with you, Mikhail Flintari, is polishing off the second to last bottle of Gondarit whiskey.
Mikhail, I've been drinking this garbage when you've been hogging all the Gondarit whiskey.
It is a bold and brave sacrifice, Captain.
I grab him by the shoulders, give him a little slap on the face, and I say, all right, my friend, but you better not be too sick in the morning to sail, right?
I sail best when I'm sick. Mikhail is a broad-chested, bald man who's wearing what at one point was a Royal Ratenel official uniform, but has been, since the time in which he acquired it, absolutely beaten to shreds and replaced down to the last thread. It's almost an entirely new jacket, though some of its original intent remains.
I'm not used to seeing you in a uniform. It is a strange look for you.
And even stranger look for you, D'Artano. And he swigs the last of the bottle, stares at it for a second, puts it down, and in the same sentence opens the last one.
I hold out my wine glass for him to just pour whiskey into my wine.
It's in whiskey.
With
This
the
guy-
remaining inch of wine,
Yeah.
he says,
That's good.
and then he looks back to the bottle and says, D'Artano, this will not do. And he takes some of your wine and takes a sip, and then puts the rest in.
It has been some time since we were youths traipsing about on ship in our teenage years. Do you ever miss those days when the seas felt more open and the skies more blue?
D'Artano, you know as well as I, the youth only ends on the day of your death. But, yes, I do.
We'll see what this strange island does to us.
Word has it that, well, you saw the briefing. And he puts the bottle down and lays his entire bald head down. And he begins to snore lightly, despite the fact that his eyes are open.
D'Artano puts a hand on his friend, but then sits down next to him for a while, watches the party and kind of sneers at people that look at him for a bit. And eventually, after making sure Mikhail is not going to choke on his own vomit, I'm going to depart from the party. Dortano has a small errand. I'm going to go by... is there like a courier or like a mail system around here?
Absolutely. So there are post office boxes on practically each major corner of Rodney.
Got it. I'll head to one and just go up to the clerk. I'll toss them a bag of 50 platinum and I'll say, this is to go to Lucien Levasseur in Goblets. Can you deliver that far?
They give you a curt nod, hand you a tiny little parchment to fill out.
I signed it with truly the roughest scribble.
They grimace as they take it, and you are on your way. Does D'Artano return to the party at all?
I'll return just for Mikhail. I will come back.
Awesome.
I want to take care of that business before we leave.
That's a good friend right there.
Shout out Mikhail.
So after making sure to take care of your friend and also your family, the thought crosses your mind that this may be not only the most important mission you've gone on in recent history, but potentially the most dangerous, given the track record of any of the previous missions that have gone to rediscover Agmovia. But surely you are prepared enough within yourself and the people that you can rely on, Mikhail not the least of which. What could possibly go wrong? Everybody roll initiative, please.
Woo! Yay!
We flash forward 2 months in the future.
We have a TV on the table. You can't see it.
Oh no!
Sorry,
What are you rolling initiative? Oh no, Nora!
Oh my god, it's a 6. It's a 6.
Okay. I got a 19.
Okay.
I am at a 15.
17.
So, D'Artano, you are 2 months in the future.
Okay.
Transported back to the Agmovian soiree, thinking about a time that was not especially pleasant, but was more predictable than rushing from the top of the galleon, where you were stationed as fourth mate, into the absolute bottom of the ship, where a retrofitted steamboat is connected to the back of the galleon.
Mm-hmm.
You expected there to be a dead zone in the waves where wind doesn't necessarily reach. And it was theorized that that is why all of the previous journeys to Agmovia have failed invariably. But you stand on the deck of this steamboat, meant to just provide a momentary jolt of power. And you remember what the captain said, that if waters looked rough around where you are, you may need to make the tough decision. Before you stands an impossibly wide creature. It's like if you took a horse, knocked off from its hoof to about where an elbow would be on a person. Yes, I know horse feet anatomy is weird. Just walk with me.
Walking a horse.
Walking a horse. You cut the lower part off of a horse, made it much wider, and then had it made out of tanned leather. It has a broad face and what appears to be two eyeballs stuck into a red and ever-shifting color-wise head, and 4 ears on each side as it wriggles and reels with its tentacle-like ears.
And I see this. It's not, but we're on the bottom of the ship. The steamboat is where?
You are in the bottom of the galleon, but the top deck of the steamboat.
Oh, okay. I see. Got it. Seeing this creature, I will shout out, some of the crew, hop on the steamboat. We might need to split off. I'm going to unhook this black chain wrapped around, and there is a heavy metal weight attached to it with the black metal of the chain at the end wraps around this thick steel ball the size of 2 fists, and he starts flinging it around. It is a meteor hammer.
Awesome.
And as he waves it over his head, he's going to launch it towards this creature and make an attack roll.
Super.
All right. That is going to be a 15 to hit.
Awesome. That'll do it.
All right. That is going to be 15 points of bludgeoning damage.
Okay.
And then also, as the chain of wounding touches him, there's an extra 6 points of necrotic damage.
Awesome.
Ooh, damn.
All right.
As I slam it into this creature's side, where it touches, the skin almost grays a little bit as it takes necrotic damage.
Awesome.
Aren't you an ugly bastard? And I will swing around again for my second attack.
Super.
I adore that you gave like a Witcher impression just now. He's like, damn, you're ugly.
Just a little bit. That's a 26 to hit.
That'll do it.
And I will add a little something extra on this. Okay, not as good. That is, okay. 8 points of bludgeoning damage. 2 necrotic damage, it's 10.
Okay.
And then an extra 6 points of force damage. I know that's 3 damage types, but does it look hurt from that, or is it seem pretty hardy?
Well, it seems impossibly tough. It does seem to be hurt. Nothing like getting hit in the face and withered away slowly with necrotic damage.
Yeah, and then I'm just gonna stay at reach because I have 10-foot reach with my chain of wounding. I'm just gonna stay back, swing it around, yell, I need some help down here! Where are the others?
As you smack the head of this thing, it looks as if the top part of its head is peeling off to reveal the jaw underneath. And beneath the top part of the head, you see another pair of wild eyes under the top of this creature's head.
What in 9 hells?
As you yell, where are the others? Who should come running first except somebody who 2 months ago was another kind of standoffish figure at the party. Sean, would you please introduce your character?
Sure. I am playing Hemivar Boreal. He is a rock gnome. His skin is definitely like rock gnome-ish, so he's got that pale kind of desaturated skin with maybe like a subtle kind of bluish tint to it. His hair is like short black hair, but within the hair itself there are like kind of streaks of like a reddish violet. It's kind of hues, kind of just randomly placed throughout the hair itself. He is quite short, being a rock gnome. He's like 3'9". At the party, Hemivar is quite nervous he's a little skittish, not very comfortable with the big situations of, all the gallantry, all the socializing and dancing. He's probably on the sidelines. He most likely would be, he's actually going to be probably on the sidelines at a table with his mechanical automaton, Tip. Tip itself is a automaton, probably like 4 feet, maybe a little over 4 feet, like 4 feet and a half. He is a automaton of Hemivar's own design. He's got what's it called, mostly humanoid, but obviously with the mechanical parts of it, like gears and levers and switches and all those types of things that are moving around to create this figure. He's currently sitting at his relaxed pose of 4 feet tall, and the two are just exchanging kind of conversation, trying to whittle away the time. Pip, this seems like an awfully. Are we really sure that we should be doing this? This seems an awfully dangerous thing to finally go to the Agmovia. Are we ready for this? Are we ready for this, do you think?
The apertures of Pip's eyes rotate inward and outward twice to denote an affirmative answer. And you hear within the rather stocky center of Pip some whirring. Now, Pip is a sight to behold, and not only because the center of mass is very dense and everything else beside it is very spindly. You hear the whirring of Pip putting together wooden cards within themselves and then punching different holes as the player organ at the center of Pip starts spinning the cards, and as the card goes through, Pip begins to vocalize. Hammerar, you have been so excited to see your hometown of Agmovia.
I know. But just, I mean, thinking and dreaming about it is one thing, but it's just going through and no one's made it back yet. And I'm just, beginning to wonder if we'll not get back. Right? What if we don't make it back? What if none of us make it out of this?
Calm down, please, Hammerar. I've done nothing but see you be excited for the prospect of this journey. Do not let death scare you now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Pip, I'm just overreacting here, but you'll still be with me, yeah?
I cannot perform complex calculations. I can only respond and think in the way that you have programmed me to do so. I have nothing but confidence in you, Hammerar.
Oh, dear.
Wait!
Thank you, Pip. I needed that. It was a little like pat on the canceled arms.
Also, Pip is taller than you, right?
He programmed himself an emotional support robot. Oh my god. My heart.
A dozen tubes and cards whirring around Pip. You assume that they are going to absolutely have something to say that will ease all of your mind. But it is, in fact, the mechanical reset. And Pip says, "You are welcome, Hammerar," and completely shuts down.
Now, being alone with the not having Pip anymore, I kind of look towards the rest of the ball. Is this like a ball happening, or is it like is there dancing going on?
There's a lot of dancing going
I'll
on.
kind of look towards the dancing and just look back away and just not engage and just kind of maybe decide to distract myself by eating some food. Just keep myself away from all the big social gatherings.
I mean, the food here is pretty solid. It is Bratinel food, which you have been getting pretty consistently for the past 3-4 years. But they tried to put an Agmovian spin on it. Most of what remains of Agmovia are the stories that are told and the scientific studies. There aren't a lot of cookbooks that remain from Agmovia, except for the ones that you were able to find through the university. However, it is extremely clear that they don't have any heirloom cookbooks to put on display here, as a lot of them are just hard bread made trees and things that look kind of whimsical, but are ultimately like baked beans.
I was like muttering my mouth. It's fakes. Sentences, fraud, little things. And start mumbling myself. Disappointed. Stress.
Now, it would be wonderful, you think, to experience actual Agmovian food. There are different theories about what might have happened to Agmovia, but there are those, and I believe yourself included, that believe that Agmovia is still standing strong, but has progressed to utopia beyond the need to communicate with any of the other civilizations. And if that is true, man, oh man, it would be good to have some Agmovian poesy. However, that is not the thought that you have as you face down this impossibly wide horse. Please take your turn.
Kevin, what is this thing?
I'm just a fourth mate, but I have no clue.
Okay. I can't use 5 up here.
I love that that's your default thought. Just like, okay, can I?
I'm going to take out my pocket watch. And I'm going to kind of start whirring around the minutes and hour hands of the thing. So I'm going to cast innate sorcery. And the cloak that I'm wearing is one actually that is an heirloom of mine. It is filled with floral kind of natural accents and patterns to it. But each one is in a fractal design, a pattern repetition that mimics the kind of the order that is in nature, the order that is behind the chaos. And the cloak itself will start to glow and hiss, and all the fractals will start to subtly move as my use my pocket watch, raise it in the sky, and cast slow onto the weird horse monster creature thing. And it must pass it'll be actually, what is that? 18 DC.
Just the head of this creature, its 4 long sinewy ears and its bulbous head slow to a stop almost before resuming impossibly slow. The main body of this thing seems to be still going crazy, but it is under the slope.
Hospitals. If it is multiple creatures, I can affect up to 6 creatures.
Then they're... Wait. Hey. Yes, the entire creature slows to an absolute crawl.
Sorry, no multi-attack.
Is that your
Did that work? Did that help? Yeah.
Yeah, that's better.
The slow-mo creature noises.
You see, as it's in this position, the teeth that are each about as wide as your fist, and flat at the very end, like wooden pegs. Hemvar, is that your turn?
Yes, that was my turn.
This very slow freak horse is something that is seen by 3 people as they ascend the staircase lower in the steamboat to get to the upper deck. It is 3 people in full militant regalia. One shining figure and the 2 bumbling figures that bump into each other behind them. Would you please describe your character at the party, Katya?
Back at the party, Anya was standing proudly, shoulders perfectly back, rather taller for an average woman, so she was really standing out from the crowd, with her stark white hair braided in a perfect braid with every hair in its place, and was wearing a very decorated white and with some shimmering of festoon colors uniform of an officer.
Hailing from the great nation of Festoon, Anya stands proudly with her entourage. To walk into the room, you would assume immediately that Anya is the captain, despite the full grouping of the captain and their first mate and the second mate. As you go down the list of importance on the boat, Anya is but a mere passenger. But to observe the party, Anya is the one running this. You are beset on either side by your trusted guard, Selpin and Korf.
My boys!
Selpin is a very wide man, to the fact of, if you are imagining him in your mind, take the PNG of him and make him like a little bit wider. Not any taller or shorter to scale. Just very burly and very heavy set. With a 5 o'clock shadow that you've never seen not present. And Korf is not quite as tall as Anya, but is much taller compared to Selpin. It seems between them that Selbin is probably the more competent of the two. But you're reminded of the time that you were given these two as retainers. Essentially, they just got too good at guarding the palace.
Yeah.
And were decided it would be a good idea to be the bodyguards of. Anya, if you please explain your title and prominence.
The deputy commander of the Imperial Guard. And now a babysitter. But that's for later.
Awesome. What do you think Anya is doing at this party other than standing proud at attention and waiting for people to come up?
I imagine she is actually conversing quite a lot. There are moments when she needs to, turn to the wall, just take a deep breath, and then put the smile back on, and then turn around and dive right back into it. She's gliding with this grace and elegance, going from attention to, extending an arm in this almost dancer-like grace.
It is no surprise to you that people have come up to you, mistaking you to be much higher rank on the ship. And not the least of which being a tall, immensely muscular woman in an all-tan outfit. She wears a red bandana around her neck and a pith helmet, which is the old-fashioned exploring helmet. And even in this Agmovian soiree, she has refused to check her coat or any of her 3 guns that are all prominently on display.
I can guess she's kind of from Gonrad, most likely.
Almost certainly from Gonrad. Maybe she's a Numalis Marin transplant, but she approaches you with 2 reporters on either side and says, "Well, I don't believe we've made acquaintance, but I believe we will. In short order, we'll be spending a lot of time together. Pleased to meet you. I am Lucy Z. Swarthington. Big game hunter. I'm sure you've heard of me."
Madame Swarrington. She extends a hand and does a very strong grip, a shake.
Roll a strength save.
What? Wait. Okay, hold on.
Throw it as a handshake.
Damn.
Let's see who has a proper handshake.
The stakes are high, y'all. This is...
Good impression.
Okay. 12?
Okay. Oh, dear.
So, Anya, for the first time in a while, it is insane that somebody feels presumptuous enough that they have the right to touch you, much less give a handshake that you can hear your knuckles crunch during.
Her smile tenses up ever so slightly, but her gaze changes to this respect as she lowers her hand and clasps it over to kind of hide the bruising that's about to show up.
Excellent. Now Lucy grabs you by the shoulder and goes to pose yourself and herself for the reporters and
the moment she touches the shoulder, can Anya try to catch it and try to elegantly turn and just stand next to her at attention instead?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Lucy still does the Weird Al hold.
Cool. That's fine. That's fine. She's like, Will already did enough intervention today. I'm not dealing with that. So she kind of chooses it to be on her own terms.
With that
question, do I see?
I was actually hoping the next thing. I was going to ask Lucy about him. So
we see a brief second of D'Artagnan's eyes meeting Anya's eyes on the steamboat, and a recognition that tessellates backward in infinity to this moment at the party as D'Artagnan moves.
Was this the moment the picture was taken?
The flashbulb goes off, and
her face is completely not
I'm seeing my whiskey wine, just You got to be fucking kidding.
She goes just extremely serious from that welcoming, not even just the practice smile to the like the fuck you doing here?
Yeah, you get it like that.
yeah.
Excellent.
Mm-hmm.
And as the flash bulbs go off, we find ourselves transported back to the present time, 2 months away from the party, where you see this massive creature tearing apart at the jaw.
Can't leave this one alone for a minute. Selpin, Korf, flank it.
On it. They move to either side of this creature, and they take turns stabbing out of their spears. There's a lot of power in it, but there's not a lot of fervor in it. You see them go, da, 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 da.
They're flanking it. It's fine. That's all I needed them to do.
But you're seeing blood.
So as soon as she sees them assume their position, Anya extends her left arm in front of her and then flicks from her shoulder as a wave goes all the way to her fingertips as feathers begin to extend from her arm, creating a wing where an arm used to be going directly from the shoulder socket. And as this beautiful, soft white feathers cover her arm entirely, she unsheathes her longsword and dashes forward to the creature. And I would love to make an attack with my longsword. So does... Sorry. I have all my character sheets in order, I promised.
You got a lot of people.
Does an 18 hit, my friend?
Yes, it does.
Great. I would love to also do Shining... let's do a Divine Smite on that one, actually. So that's going to be 1 D8 slashing and 2 D8... May I borrow a D8, darling? Thank you. And 2 D8... Hey, guys, can I borrow 1 more D8, please?
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Food for thunder!
Okay.
So I'm going to say these two are the smite and this is the slashing. So it's going to be 4 slashing and 10, which one is that? I forgot the word. Radiant. Yes, thank you. And 10 radiant damage, and I have my second attack. Woo.
Incredible.
So that's going to be 13 to hit.
That'll do it.
Okay, great. I can't smite again, so I'm just going to... that's going to be another 7 slashing. And with that, we'll just move on, as she's using her wing less to shield herself and more to prepare to cover her teammates from the creature.
I don't need your feathers.
And get out of them.
A little backstep. Swing the chain around. Also, I'm gonna yell, Mikhail! Where the hells are you?
Elsewhere in the gap, we turn to the communications room, where there has just been an echoing speaker of D'Artano's voice shouting, "Everyone get to the ship! Get to the steamboat!" As we see Mikhail Fontari running past the comms room and looking up at the steamboat and saying, "Captain, shall I disengage?"
Again, I'm just the fourth mate, but wait until others get on, but be ready to.
Whatever you say, Captain.
Okay, Mikhail.
And Mikhail runs to the disengage lever, ready to pull it at the drop of a hat. We have an illustrious trio as we find our way back to the Agmovian soiree at the party. Nobody has approached for autographs more than Walden Corsextant, Montague St. Caliber, and Nora. Would you describe your character, please?
Yeah, Diane Corsextant St. Caliper. Diane is just walking off the dance floor, looking back to somebody calling out to her, and she goes, "What? No, you're a great dancer." And she turns around, and the smile on her face immediately drops. This very tall, broad, blue-skinned, furballed woman seems maybe the tiniest bit out of her element here. She makes her way towards the punch bowl and fills up her cup with two spoonfuls, looks at it, sees it's too full for a third, puts a third in anyway, and kind of sips it off the top, trying to look as unawkward as possible.
You get one sidelong glance from some nobody at the party, and they look at the cup, they look at you, and pour themselves a third scoop.
Yeah, I'll sit there and take one kind of slow, long sip while making eye contact with this guy. Is he holding it, or does he not want to talk to me either?
It's such a meme.
He's doing the Jersey stare, which is looking at somebody's right ear and seeing if they actually go to your gaze. So you can see if they're looking at you, but you're not looking at them, so it's not weird.
Gotcha, so he's looking at me.
He's
pretending not to be.
Yeah.
What's up with our man? Do I recognize him?
Not at all. This looks like just your run-of-the-mill party guest. And something that you might notice if you would roll me a perception.
I would roll you a perception, since you asked so nicely.
Absolutely.
6.
Something that you might notice is nothing, actually.
Okay.
He looks remarkably average for this party.
Okay.
And he gives you a nod and looks to hurry away.
Got it. All right. Well, I finish my drink before going off to go somewhere else. But then quickly realizing I no longer have something to do with my hands, I go back for another 3 scoops of punch.
You hear somewhere off across the dance floor. Yeah, I hear there's a 2-scoop limit at the punch bowl. Can you believe it?
Even though nobody's around her or looking at her, her face immediately kind of flushes red as she thinks over whether or not she should finish that last third pour. She fills her cup.
Coming over to your side, you feel a hand on your shoulder, and then an almost identical hand on your other shoulder. As your 2 father figures lean down, and Montague says, "Enjoying your punch, sweetie?"
Oh yeah, I mean it's really tasty. It also works as a great excuse to stop dancing.
Walden, who has poured himself a little bit of punch and taken a sip, motions to Montague and goes, "Bad punch. Do that punch." Finishes the glass anyway.
Yeah.
What do you say we get out of this place and have a little bit of a quiet night before we go on to our big excursion?
You guys want to head out so soon? It seemed like you had a lot of people wanting to talk to you.
They look between each other, and Walden does kind of one of these, and Montague says, "Well, less autographs just makes them rarer and more valuable. Besides, you haven't shown us your new apartment in Ratno."
Okay, yeah, I can take you guys down. It's a little bit messy right now because I had to dig through my closet to find something that kind of fit me for this. She motions to a kind of ill-fitting blue dress. One of the straps of it doesn't really want to keep itself on her rounded shoulders.
Walden and Montague tend to do this thing where they lean in front of you to talk to you, and you can notice the hunch in their shoulder and arm, and then they will lean back to send messages between each other. Tends to get a little annoying, but usually things work out in your favor when this kind of thing happens.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I know in my heart that, they have my best interests in mind. Even if I think they're a little annoying and overbearing, the worst they get is an eye roll out of me.
When they get to your apartment, they waste no time in locating your teapot and and all of your mugs and cups.
Right.
And Montague, as he's taking down the teapot, says, "Diane, do you have any favorites among your collection?" here's this one from 3 years ago. Remember the Gauntlet soiree?
Yeah, no, whichever mug works.
They exchange another look. You
I'm very confused about it.
you sense that a lot was said between them, despite the fact that none of it makes any sense. They lay out 3 mugs, as close in size as they can find among your ramshackle collection. And upon finding your tea cabinet where all of your tea leaves are, you can't necessarily make out exactly what Walden says, but you can hear very hushed, "I'm a little worried about her." And before you know it, there's tea on the table, and 2 Goliath men at either side of your round kitchen table. Montague takes a deep pull of a cup of tea and says, "Now, Diane, before we head out on tomorrow's mission, is everything okay?"
What do you mean, is everything okay? I mean, I'm, like, kind of nervous about this. Just because I'm going to be, like, so far away for so long. And I think the most time I ever spent on a boat was when we did that coast surveying. Yeah, this is a little different, but I'm going to be okay. They said it's just going to be a temperate forest over there, and I'm used to that.
Okay. We know that you know your way around a temperate forest. I mean, God's help us if you didn't, right? And they both laugh a little bit too loud at the joke. Before Montague, stark silent, continues. Well, we just wanted to check in to make sure that... Damn it, Diane, we care about you and your ability to succeed in Ratnell, and we're just so proud of you.
Oh, guys.
But being proud makes us worry a little bit. We don't want you getting in over your head.
This is what I've been studying for years. Mapping Agmovia would be like a dream for any cartographer. I really can't believe I'm going to get a chance to do this. I really don't think you guys should be worried, but I do really appreciate the concern. And I put a hand on Montague's shoulder.
Montague looks like deeply and profoundly touched. And he says, I suppose that it was a little bit foolish and rash of us to be so concerned. I mean, we met when Walden and I were absolutely incapable of helping ourselves, and, well, thank goodness you were there. They exchange another look, and Walden says, I still can't believe that expedition we hired was a bunch of dirty liars. And Montague gasps, and Walden says, I don't care if it's rude to say, they fibbed to us.
Look, it happens, but the good news is, this time, right, everybody on our ship has been, like, screened by professionals, and I'll have you guys by my side this whole time. There's literally nothing to worry about. What could possibly go wrong here?
As long as we stay together, nothing can possibly go wrong. In this instant, we are transported back to the top deck of the steamboat.
Horse with ear tentacle.
Horse with ear tentacle.
What could go wrong?
As Montague is going to give Walden a step up onto the ladder to the steamboat. You know these guys. Their joints ain't what they used to be. When they were attempting to survey Numalasmar and were incredibly fortunately saved by you. Even then, they were about 40 years old. And being a couple of Goliaths, they cherish their joints while they have them. Montague is attempting to give Walden a leg up, but you are able to climb the ladder with extreme ease.
Okay, when I get to the top, I'm gonna reach over and grab Walden by the shoulders and kind of just like lift him up and place him next to me.
Awesome. As you grab Walden and place him next to you, does a 7 hit?
No.
Awesome.
Did he like try to fight back?
Whoa. An 18 certainly hits Walden.
Oh.
Sorry, go.
So, is that the creature attacking it?
The creature attacks.
So the creature has disadvantage on the attack because of sap.
Yes, it does. Well, that nat 20 means nothing.
Oh
Anyway,
Or some of that 20 negating.
let's go eat! All right. So the creature is going to attempt to gore Walden.
no!
You have your turn as Walden begins to fall backwards over the side of the steamboat.
Oh my gosh.
The creature is inches away from you. And if this thing gets a chance to go again, it is lights out for Diane.
Oh, gotcha. So instinctively, Diane jumps back from this creature. It's obvious from her motions that fighting something is not where she's most comfortable. But despite that, she grabs a talisman on a little leather strap from the breast pocket of her vest and sort of spins it around as a vine grows out of the little outside area of the ship and comes around, and it's gonna try and like grab this thing and wrap around its neck. It's gonna need to pass a 14 strength save.
All right. First ever that one, baby!
So it wraps around its neck, and you hear a sick little crunch. And I'm just gonna roll a couple of d8s for damage here. That is 13 damage, bludgeoning on the strangle.
Nora, how do you want to do this?
Ooh, okay, so when this vine comes over and wraps around its neck, it starts to drag this creature backwards a little bit, leaving claw marks in the floor as it writhes to break free. Once I get it off of its front legs, it becomes a lot easier to maneuver, and I can just drag that thing right out of the ship. Plop. In the water.
You just yeeted that thing off the ship.
No, I dragged and dropped it. Like if I was like throwing out trash.
But I imagine it's like trying to claw and stuff.
So in rapid succession, what happens is this beast absolutely bodies one of your dads. He begins to fall. Montague is there to catch him. As you take this creature, wrap a vine around it, essentially crush it to death, and lob it off the side of the ship. All around, the connections to the steamboat are cracking. You can hear the rest of the galleon, what from your ears sounds like about to be rent apart.
I'll look to Diane and I'll say, "You are joining us in the rainforest.
Okay.
We need that." I'm then going to yell to Mikhail, "Mikhail, the galleon needs more maneuverability. More creatures may come. Drop the steamboat."
Drop the steamboat, Captain!
Yes. I'm not okay. Let's do it.
The lever is cranked. You hear the whining and spinning of gears as the metal restraints that have been holding the steamboat drop the steamboat into the water. The creature that you have just lobbed into the water separates at the jaw as the fleshy reddish head starts to like swim off when it's underwater. It's got these weird things under what looked like ears that are almost like they're almost like bottle caps but fleshy.
Gross. Cool.
And what our audience might recognize as an octopus stuck to the head of a hippopotamus swims away as it hits the water.
Huh.
And the hippopotamus, not so lucky, so far offshore, begins to sink to the bottom of the ocean. Mikhail quickly grips onto the side of the steamboat from one of the supports, and anyone who's on the boat is on the boat. Anyone who's not is quickly out of view. As you see yourselves separated from the galleon, stalled in the water at the steamboat, and the galleon picked up by the largest wave you've seen. Would you like to engage the steamboat?
You there, the gnome fellow, you can work an engine?
Yes.
Okay, I'm used to gauntlet sailing ships. This is not my forte.
I know steam engines. Yes.
Good man. Fire us up. I kind of forget, what does the steamboat kind of look like?
So the steamboat it was at one point a pleasure cruiser that has been retrofitted by the greatest minds in Ratinel to kind of just be slapped at the back of the galleon just in case. It used to at some point have some might call it sumptuous, some might call it really tacky bunting along all the sides showing the flag of New Molismar. This has since been removed, and essentially it is your run-of-the-mill flat white painted pleasure cruiser steamboat.
I kind of survey the steamboat a little more. It is not what I was looking for, but we'll take it. What should we do? Should we try to follow and catch up to the galleon, or find land?
The way that the wave converges, you are being buffeted slightly away from the galleon. You could give chase, but it would be very difficult.
We are out of initiative now, right?
You are.
Okay, just want to make sure.
Creatures defeated.
Now, with these winds, there's no way we're catching back up to them. Does anybody know how far off ashore we are?
I'll take out a compass and kind of try and scan. But I'm not the navigator, but how far are we? Die roll?
Please give me a die.
Would it be perception, or could I make an investigation?
I'd love if it were investigation.
Okay. Woo, 22 investigation.
Awesome. So as you see the galleon wended out of... Wended?
Sure.
Wending?
When?
And as you see the galleon wending out of view, the very back of it, where the steamboat once was, begins to roll out boards to patch the hole in the galleon. Although, as it moves quick, it is still taking on water. And Diane, you see as Walden and Montague are both swept up in the water as they're reaching out to you, and the boards completely obscure them. As you're checking the direction on your compass, not for your lack of skill, but because there's something odd happening here. Your compass, even when flat, even when positioned correctly, is spinning in every direction at once. You think you found true north, and then the compass point points directly to you.
Either my uncle's compass is broken, or we are in Agmovia's vortex.
Yeah.
So it might be called.
Mine's spinning too.
Do we have any other way to track land, I suppose? You are a navigator, yes, young woman?
Well, let's see. The winds were moving northwest at about this angle. So, if we keep a heading up... Nope. Tools. let's veer off a little right. That's probably it.
It's probably
Hold on.
It's a little-
We cannot say probably right now. Selp and Korth, I need you to look around. Just keep a lookout for anything else that might be coming our way. Signal to us if anything goes wrong. Hamlar, sir, are there any tools that may help Diane in trying to navigate it better, so that way you can calculate it more? I'm not knowledgeable in this, but I know you can get us there if you have time.
I mean, something's messing with the magnetic field, so a lot of my tools just aren't going to work. Here, you know what? Give me 10 minutes. And she reaches into her coat and produces a small bird that flies straight up in the air.
The hell?
Great. The rest of us, let's just make sure nothing else is going to be coming our way. We don't want any more of those creatures on board.
Question, DM. Where did that creature come out of the water?
It was swept onto the steamboat from the water.
Okay. I will oversee Selpin and Korf. I'm not certain that they'll spot what I spot.
They're great guards. They'll be able to spot it.
If you say so, Your Majesty. And I will trot off to join Selpin and Court on lookout.
So Max is going to the steam detention? Yeah.
Suppose so. Get it started.
Make sure there's no damages.
Who's the are you captain? You captain? Who's captain now?
Well,
There is no captain.
based on your
Uh,
expertise and experience with sailing,
Mikhail Flintari stands up and says, "This is the captain."
Isn't the captain?
I do not want my first ever boat to be captain of a steamship pleasure cruise. Look at this. There are cardboard cutouts still from the soiree.
He looks at the tacky cutouts.
I kicked a palm tree just sitting there off the boat.
The cardboard palm tree falls into the absolute rapids outside the steamboat, and Mikhail says, "If you don't take the rank of captain, we both know who will."
I glance over at Anya and I say, all right, but you tell no one in Gondrit that this was the ship we used, huh?
I'll tell them that it was the grandest thing that's ever floated the seas.
Good enough. I have not sailed in some time, but if you think I should, I will do it. Very well. I am the captain. Yep.
while we're on the ship, clarifying.
While we're on this ship.
Thank you.
Oh, spotted land. Okay, if we can adjust our heading 6 minutes to the east, well, what's that? Starboard for us.
All right, full steam ahead, Hamilton.
Catch you, sir.
All right. If we see land, then it's full steam ahead. Hamilton, can you get to the engine?
Yes, I can take that down. Yes, sir.
Good man. All right. I'll. What is a steering wheel like? Is it like a little schooner? Is it like a wheel?
It is like a little scooter. You have to spend a good 30 seconds wending it around, winding it.
I just start cranking, turning the boat. And I suppose we set sail.
As you do, Mikhail says, I love how you crank it, Captain.
Captain, crank that.
Now, Diane, as you send your bird up and you are denoting minutes and knots and direction, the thick gray clouds that have beset the galleon for quite some time are much more visible as lightning and thunder crackles, creating a nautical storm. And for a brief second, you, through the eyes of the familiar, get a glimpse of something in the clouds. It looks almost to be a face without any eyes. And as it comes sharper to the eyes of the bird, it appears to have its eyes banded by something.
Oh.
And the bird sees a large human but very scraggly and pointed hand, and it is no more. And that's where we end our very first session of Spellbook Club. Join us next time.
Thank you so much for watching Spellbook Club. Look forward to a new episode of Echoes of Agmovia every other week. This arc will be 12 episodes long, with a feature-length 12th episode finale. So, clear your schedule accordingly. For more Spellbook Club, check out spellbookclub.org for blogs, character info, and artwork. We'd love to hear from you, so if blowing up the comment section isn't enough, you can also get in touch with us there at our website, which is again, spellbookclub.org. We are glad to have you along for the journey, and we'll see you next time for episode 2 of Spellbook Club, Echoes of Agmovia.
Where did he go? Yeah. Oh.
Hey. Hey.
Pocket jerky.
Is that 7 select jerky?
Yeah, that's 7 select original recipe, dude.
Is that selecting a good?
No.
No.
Do you guys want some jerky?
I'll have. Sure.
It's a delicacy, the way that, like a McDonald's chicken nugget is a delicacy.
No, it's a jerky. This is jerky.
See.
This is my couch jerky.
Just make sure to cut the other cameras.
Yeah.
Is it yours?